Hey everybody, Karen from Spirit Guides. I hope you're doing well today. So this is part 2 of the series that I am doing based on some passages from this book by Ann Tucker, who's a channeler. What's coming next? She's on, you might have seen her talking. She talks quite a bit about the 3 days of darkness. Okay. That she's been told is coming. All right. So I've got this kind of series. It's like 8 or 9 episodes long that we're going through some of the passages in there, looking at the passages from an astrological and birth chart for the United States and the world. I might have to tap into the world a little bit too. And then asking the SGs, the lead team collective, about the messages in the book. All right. So I highly recommend you watch part 1 first and just follow it through. But, so you can go back and they're all going to be listening to a playlist. I don't know what it's going to be called yet. I'm only recording number 2. But if you just go back, to yesterday, you can find episode number 1. Okay. So today, so today, in the last episode, we examined the opening passages of What's Coming Next by Ann Tucker. I've got the link in the description below. If you want to support our channel, you use and if you are going to buy on Amazon, you could use we get a little small commission. It wouldn't cost you anymore. We were talking about how Ann is, again, it's her guides, are describing how systems may eventually reach the point where they must change. Okay. And I think we're starting to feel that right now, which is why we're going through this. So today we're going to continue with the next sections of the book. It's actually some passages out of I'm only on part 5 in the book. This whole 8-part series, that maybe even 9 days in a row, we're going to be talking about this. It's just from one section of our book about challenges to come. All right. So today we continue with with some more passages in the book that describe how pressure inside of the systems that we talked about yesterday might begin to appear. All right. And we already see that right now. That's why I'm so fascinated by this, because we are actually seeing stuff that she's talking about and started channeling in the passages in the book that I'm reading from were like 2020 to 2022. And now it's interesting to be talking about this now in 26, because we can actually see some of that stuff happening. So how pressures inside of the systems we talked about yesterday might begin to appear. These passages will focus on timing, personal guidance during uncertainty, and the first signs of economic disruption. Okay, those are the ones we're going to go through today. And I'm going to try to get through 3 today, so I'm going to go a little faster than I did yesterday. So what we're going to be doing, again, I'm going to read the text. I've asked Mabel to pull the astrology for me to see if the astrology makes any sense related to the text that her guides have given her, guidance. The US birth chart, because a lot of what she says is going to be happening is going to be in the US. It's going to be global, but the US we are going to see some major changes. Okay. And then I got the questions. We'll ask the questions. Okay. So the first one, this next text from her book is quoted. Okay. This is exactly what her guides have said. The most disruptive events happen later. Okay. Now, that was written in 2020, so keep that in mind. After the United States begins to separate. So we don't know what that means. Have we already separated because we are so divided? Or is this a physical thing? Actually, the astrology might offer a little bit of that, okay? If that hasn't happened yet, the United States beginning to separate, if that hasn't happened yet, then things will still be mostly normal for a time. So what Ann says is that one of the ways she judges whether she's going on vacation still or is this separation, is some of these things that we're going to be talking about will at least help us plan our lives over the next year or two, because get a sense, because we don't, and actually one of the passages we're going to be talking about today is they do encourage us to try to live normal lives in the meantime. So, okay. But if it hasn't happened yet, where the United States begins to separate, then things will still be mostly normal for a time. Remember, that was in 2020. Okay? So the astrology around those comments. So cycles placing pressure on leadership and institutions intensified from 2022 to 25. Okay? So cycles placing pressure on leadership. Did you see any pressure on our leadership in 22 to 25? Any pressure at all? And the institutions, which tells me, and if you go back to part 1, you'll hear more of this conversation, but our leadership, what I'm discovering, and again, part 1, what I'm discovering is that our leadership, the power of the institutions are greater than the power of our leadership. Let's just put it that way. And when you understand that, and I will ask the SGs, that's what I'm just understanding. I understood it from episode 1 that we did. So if we can understand the power of the institution is greater than the power of our leadership, we might be more kind to our leaders. On both sides. Okay? On both sides. A major communication and ideology cycle began mid-2025. A major communication and ideological, I don't know how to pronounce that. Well, a major communication, ideology, ideology, right? Cycle began mid-2025 and continues through 2033. So a major communication, I don't really even know what that means. Let me ask her real quick. Okay. So the planetary cycle, again, what was it, mid-2025 to 2033. So think of where we are right now. People strongly debate ideas about how society should be organized. Different groups hold very different visions of the future. Communication systems, media, internet, information networks, how about AI, becomes more powerful and influential. Competing narratives about what is true becomes more common. Okay, you guys, we're just at the beginning of that. This is why I'm so glad we're doing this, because if we don't dissect this, we're going to torture ourselves, and we can't. We just can't do it. It's just stupid. That's not why we're here on Earth, to torture ourselves. So we have to understand that whole thing is going to continue through 2033. At least the astrology supports it. All right. It's very good to know. I'm going to have to take some very serious notes about this whole series in my journal, so that when I'm feeling angst and stuff, I'm going to have to go back to it and just be like, okay, reminder. Maybe at the end, it'll take me a little while to get stuff written down, but I'll share it with you at some point in our newsletter. So if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, I'll make sure that it goes in the newsletter. Okay. In fact, let me make a note of that. Okay. So historically, these cycles often correspond with stronger public debate and competing narratives. So it sounds like it's just going to get louder and louder and louder, which is why we got to get very clear so that we're not continuing the division. We're not continuing that. This could align with the author's suggestion that internal division appears before larger disruptions. Okay, well, that's already happened. Internal division has already happened. You got to remember, she wrote these passages before now, okay? So, but the major communication cycle, with how I just described it, will be taking place until 2033. At least, again, the astrology supports that, okay? The U.S. birth chart, leadership sectors of the U.S. chart remain under pressure. Leadership sectors. We've got institutions and we have leadership. I am thinking now that we need to get harder on the institutions and less harder on our leadership. We need to look at the institution and stop looking at the leadership. That is where the issue is. I'm really convinced of this now. Globally, not just in the United States. There's a global institution, which I know people on the right were calling the deep state, and people call it different stuff. It doesn't matter what the name is. It doesn't matter. There is a global institution. There's an underbelly of things going on that leadership around the world, one person, one group, whatever, is not able to change. And so what she's warning us, the guys are warning us, that the only way for that to change is total disruption, total collapse. And that they're warning us that that is actually going to happen, because that's what's better for us down the line. But we have got to hold on to each other. We're holding on. Grab my hand. Grab it. We'll figure out. We're going to figure out, because we are having a community conversation about this. And we will figure out how to support one another here, even though we don't know each other directly. We might just need to. I don't know yet. We'll figure something out. Because there are community members here who aren't able to prepare the way some of us might be able to prepare. And we want to make sure, because they don't have the resources, because of this underbelly thing, the institutions have been stripping us from them. And some of us have been able to keep our heads above easier than others. And so we need to, as we go forward, talk to each other, keep each other in mind. As the facilitator of this conversation, I always get new ideas. Which at the end of this series is when I'll be coming back with our birth chart conversation. Okay. I've got your birth charts. I know you guys are putting it on the list. So if you haven't seen the birth chart conversation and you want to be considered as part of the birth chart, community birth chart evaluation, then you need to go back and listen to the birth chart video. Okay. Just search birth charts. Okay. So I come up with the ideas, but they have to come to me while I'm exploring. So, but I can see where this is leading. We're going to really need, again, there are many members of our community, probably half and half I'm going to guess, I'm just wild ass guess, that are under here. And then there's others that are here. And there's probably some of us that are here. Okay. Meaning like, okay, and I'm talking like physical food and support, and you know what I mean? So we want to see what we can do for our community by the time we're done talking about this, as we continue going forward and dealing with this going forward. Now I understand how I can facilitate this conversation without feeling threatened, because I'm not going to be talking about those people or that institution specifically. I'm going to be talking about it in general terms and understanding this is global, right? So, okay, I'm getting so much clarity just by talking through this right now. Okay, so communication and ideology, I don't know why I couldn't say that word before, ideology sectors of the chart, the birth chart of the United States, became more active beginning 2025. Okay, because remember that started in mid 2025, where the division really took shape. Yeah. That was after the election, though. Okay, these chart patterns may correspond with increasing political and social polarization. All right, let's ask a few questions about this. Let me just remind you, I have to go back and see what this is kind of complicated, so I want to make sure that I'm remembering what her text was. So the text was the timing of disruptive events. The most disruptive events happen later. And again, it's the context of this after the United States begins to separate. So that's the part that's quite interesting. If that hasn't happened yet, then things will still be mostly normal for a time, which, you could say that right now. It's mostly normal. It's mostly normal for a time. So the question is, have we really done that separation that they're referring to? Okay. So, well, let's ask. Let's ask. I close my aura to all but my higher self, the God consciousness, my guides, guardians, the lead team collective, and only those of the highest and purest light, and ask Archangel Michael to please protect my channel, your channel, our community, the lead team collective, so it is all of the highest and purest light. Amen. Hey, lead team. Thank you so much for being here. So we are continuing the conversation regarding the channeling messages that Ann Tucker has received. So they confirmed in episode 1 that those messages are worth us dissecting. Okay. That they were accurate, basically. Is that true, lead team? Yes. Okay. Now, everything's open to interpretation. So is our interpretation of it accurate? Probably not always. Is that true? Yes. Okay. So we got to be careful with the interpretation. And so that's why this is going to be a little longer series to make sure we can kind of see things. I mean, I just recorded the episode 1. I'm doing them back to back, got the same shirt on. Literally in that episode realized this is not about leadership. This is about institutions. And it's global system. It's a global system. They've got us they've got all the citizens fighting amongst each other in their own countries and other countries. That keeps that whole thing going. That keeps the whole thing going. So this isn't just about the United States, you guys. This isn't about just the Republicans in the United States and the Democrats in the United States. No. And it's not about US versus Canada or US versus France or US versus China. It's not. It's this underbelly institution that there's something functioning that we don't know what it is. We don't know what it is. I don't even know that I think the people who know what it is are the ones who get into leadership positions like Obama, Trump, and Biden, who are like, what the actual, like had no idea that, and they just know it's unstoppable. And they probably know the only way it's going to stop is for it to collapse. That's my guess. So that's where we've got us. It's not about citizens fighting each other. You're better than, blah, 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 blah. All these competitive sports that they've developed over the years, the competitive video games, all that kind of stuff is to keep us competitive with each other. There's so much stuff we're going to be learning about why things came about. I guarantee. I know they used to play sports a long time ago, but it was like, it was croquet, But now, Americans, this football, it is so violent. And I like football, but it is so violent. And we're all like, it has come out of my mouth in the last year or two. Like, I can't believe we're sitting here watching these guys like tackle each other and get brain concussions. And it's when we start looking at society from all these different lenses, which is why we have to hold on to each other's hands, because as I talked about in my previous series, it's going to be mind-boggling. Okay, so lead team, we've got some questions. Could the separation that Ann's guides mentioned about the United States, could the separation mentioned refer to ideological division rather than physical separation? No. Oh. Are we talking planetary physical separation? No. Are we talking separation of states from each other? Yes. Okay. Wow. Okay. I've heard that kind of planted every once in a while. Maybe other mediums have said that. Okay, so when the guides, are you saying that in the United States that the states are going to start to separate? There's going to be start. Are we going to start? Are they already talking about that? Yes. Is it going to be what we envision? What we can only use this language right now, red and blue state type of thing? Yes. Wow. Okay. So when we start to see that happen, like officially start to happen, then things are going to get a little wild at that point. Yes. Is so until then, we should continue living and traveling and doing the things we do. We do, even with Iran and all that going on. Yes. Okay. Obviously use your discernment and but once we start seeing discussions of states separating, are they separating from the federal government? Oh, okay. Okay. All right. This is going to make sense to me. Um, if they separate, if the states separate from the federal government and then the states start separating from each other, the underbelly global system is not going to like that. They're not going to like that. Okay. So you can imagine that as we understand false flag events now, if you don't understand that, maybe look into it when you can and your brain can handle it. Then that would probably, I can see. Okay. All right. I'm getting that. All right. So is that true that what I'm calling the well, I guess I don't even want to call it the deep state because it just brings connotations. It brings up left and right opinions. You know what I mean? So if you guys have a better word that we can use here that would keep it more neutral, and that's why I'm just calling it the underbelly for now. But if you have another word for it, let me know. I might not catch it in the comments. So, Lob, you might have to tell me if somebody in the chat's got a better word for it, because I'll be recording these, pretty quickly. So yeah, so let me know if you guys have a better name for it, but we'll just call it institutions. This underbelly institution or something. The global institution. Maybe we'll just call it the global institution. They're saying yes. Okay. Are current political divisions part of a larger transition happening inside society? That's kind of obvious. Yes. Could systems appear mostly stable for a time before deeper tensions become visible? Yes. And this passage was written in like either 2020, 2022. So are we seeing those systems now? So it has appeared somewhat stable. They were, it's somewhat, not totally, but somewhat stable. Are these deeper tensions actually coming visible right now in 2026? Yes. Okay. Hence the war, that's the game. That's what they've always relied on to continue this thing that's going on under here. Okay. And the division. It's kept that whole thing going. So, but that's cracking. And we're already getting the sense in the financial markets that it's cracking big time. I don't know if you're paying attention, but so could disruption occur gradually rather than as a sudden event? Yes, but Anne does talk about the 3 days of darkness, that it's like an event, like a 3-day event. It could be a dark, like disconnected. Yes. So, and we have actually had a conversation. We did a video on the 3 days of darkness. Yes. I don't really want to get into that now because it's going to pull me off of this transcript, but just my outline here. But so even though obviously disruptions can happen gradually, yes, Will there be a sudden event as well? Yes. Will that event be about banking? Yes. Because if you're paying attention, BlackRock has already made some kind of indication that they're limiting withdrawals. I think from the bigger players, but that's just the start. Okay. So little cash on hand is a good thing. Little cash on hand, not a whole lot. Have a safe in your house or don't put it in a safety deposit box. Little cash. Okay. Maybe enough for a month in case the banks, it could be a cyber attack. It could be, the thing is, it's not could be. Whatever happens is purposeful. This layer down here, it's purposeful. It's not going to be one country. I think we really need, let me ask them, because before I get on this, I just feel like this is making so much sense to me. So you guys, am I correct about that? Do we have, okay, I'll use, this is hell and this is heaven, okay? No, that's not good. I don't want to use hell. But we've got this okay, so there is a global institution that is under the surface. And above the surface, we can't see the whole thing. Is that correct? They said yes to both things. And everything that happens politically, financially, communication-wise, interruptions, transportation, planes coming out of the sky, which, okay, there's magnetic stuff going on. Is that all created by this under the surface institution? Yes. I'm not saying all, like every single, that comes down, but it is time to question everything. And you got to do it slow because it's very hard. Right? And we got to keep our nervous systems, but we've got to question everything. And the reason we're doing this, and I know it's going to drive some people crazy, just stay in the light, stay in the light. Oh, I can stay in the light, but I can't stay in the light if I'm seeing, like all of a sudden I start seeing literally outside my window, chaos. So if I don't understand it, but the more we in this community right here can understand what's going on, the more we can hold on to each other and say, okay, we knew this was coming. We are prepared for it. So we can stay grounded. We can provide that grounding for those who didn't know it was coming. And it's not their fault. It's not their fault because they did this such a good job. And it's been going on for probably hundreds of years. Okay? Such a good job. So now they know that they know. If I can figure it out, trust me. They know, we know. What is that? They know, I think they know that we know that we know that they know. Or something like that. Yeah. And who has the upper hand right now? We can't control that they have the upper hand right now down here. We can't control it. So we have to let go of that. That's where our letting go of resistance comes in. Okay. We can't control that. So what we can control though is holding on to each other. Keep not ignoring, do not ignore the questioning of everything at this point, and preparing. We have control over those things. The more you start to look at things from a different lens, every single thing, football, everything, a movie you watch, what messages have they been sending us in that movie? Everything. Why did Columbine happen? The very first school shooting. Everything. I am making a wild ass guess that that is MK Ultra related because that got the whole thing started. Conspiracy theory. Anytime you hear conspiracy theory now, you go, your ears perk up, and you say, oh yeah, I'm going to listen to that. Because guess who created the term conspiracy theory? Can you take a guess? The CIA. They created the term conspiracy theory. You know who created the term fake news? Trump. So, okay. So, not that he is a part of this. I don't think he is. I really don't think he is. I think he's in survival mode. Do I think this, without saying it, the one I just mentioned, is? Yes, I do. But globally, so they made up that term, right? See, this is what's going to be important. If I'm going to be able to facilitate conversations like this, I do have to talk in code. Last week, I was like, I'm saying the word, but now I've come to realize, not because anything happened, but I've come to realize that I need to talk in code or I won't do it. I just can't have these conversations if we don't talk in code. So, got to get up with the code, people, because I'm not going to keep reminding you of what the code is. So, if you're coming in on this conversation like months after, then you'll just have to get with the code, but you probably already know. So, because that's the only way to keep these conversations going forward. I'm very convinced of that. And to keep it like safe, you know what I mean? For all of us involved. So, okay. Oh my God. Did I literally only get through one again? Well, I'm sorry, but it's just the way it's got to be. So I only got through one yesterday, but I think it'll go faster as I go on because I'm discovering things as we're talking. And then I can ask them. So that's the only way I can do this. So you'll just have to, you either join me or you don't join me. It's who I am. But if I don't make sense out of stuff, then what's the point? If I don't help us make sense out of it, what's the point even having the conversation? Okay. So it does sound like we have gradual disruption and a sudden event. Yes. Has a sudden event already occurred? No. Is the sudden event going to be global? Yes. Is there a chance it would be in 2026? Yes. Does that have to do with finances? Yes. Like perhaps a global financial shutdown? Yes. That is mentioned. We will be discussing that in the coming days. It's mentioned in here. Okay, which is why I thought to ask it. All right. Could understanding these cycles help people respond more calmly to uncertainty? Yes, really wide swing. It's not by chance that I'm having these conversations right now. It's obviously been downloaded into me to have this. They brought me into this book, into my awareness. So, to help us, and remember I'm just going to keep using this. Like, we got to hold each other's hands, right? Okay, I will see you in episode 3. This is going to go on for a while. It'll be fine. I think it has to. I honestly am feeling like this is probably the most important thing we've ever talked about. So why would we just do one episode and just move to the next topic? I don't think so. And I'm only talking I've got 9 passages from her. I haven't even read the book. It's just chapter 5 I'm talking about. So just talking about what's to come, challenges to come. Okay. I will see you tomorrow. I'll look at your comments. If you guys don't like this, then maybe I won't do it if nobody's watching it. But, you know what? I am going to do it because even if 3 people watch it, at least it's helping me get clear on this stuff, and it's forcing me to ask these questions. I wouldn't sit in my living room having a conversation like this and asking these questions. So it's helping me get clear on it. So, but now I got to go, and because I'm probably recording this maybe like a week or two before it's going out. So just keep that in mind. I'm recording this on March 12th. That doesn't mean this conversation is not it's not time sensitive. So I'm recording on March 12th because I'm actually recording 2 series back to back. And that one's going to go out fully first. But I'm going to go watch the Badgers. The Badgers are playing in the NCAA or the Big Ten tournament. So we'll have known by the time you see this how they did, or who won the Big Ten tournament, or the Big 12, or the Big East, or whatever. So it'll be full-fledged into March Madness at this point. All right, you guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Part 3 tomorrow. See you.